that a little bit more though, because everything that is simplistic also usually is very, very complex. And I think you probably feel the same way. Absolutely. I mean, it's very simple to say like, oh yeah, we'll start from the goal. But what does that really mean? So let's like run us through like a case scenario. You know what I mean? Like give us an example of someone who kind of went through that process and, you know, and at the same time kind of show us how, you know, society would have said, this is how you should do it. And give us kind of a, you know what I mean? Give us some contrast there.
100%. I love that. So first of all, think about, let's just define what time management means. It means time control, and management means control. And if you think back 200 years ago, before 200 years ago, there was no quote unquote scientific management. It didn't exist. It was not a thing. It was invented during the Industrial Revolution. And it's weird to me that today in the self-help and personal development and entrepreneurial vernacular, we even use the word time management, because it was designed to squeeze every drop of blood, sweat, and tear out of every single worker, out of every single second of their day. Like, it literally has nothing to do with your like personal well-being, like the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
So the idea of like anti-time management is moving from, it's not about the word, it's about who controls your time. So it's moving it from they control my time to I control my time. They took up space, I create space. They tell me what to do, I decide what I want to do. So when I say goal, I think the goal of the goal. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because I'm a Covey person, and they, you know, taught me begin with the end in mind.
Right.
People, they did not say begin with means in mind.
Mm-hmm.
No. That needs to be. They did not say begin with means in mind.
Gotcha.
People believe that their means are their goals, and they mistake goals for ends.
Yeah.
Goals are not ends. Goals are means. So the idea is to get beyond the goal, beyond strengths, beyond habits. These are just tools. They're just tools. But we're obsessed with habits and strengths and goals. They're tools. Have not like so okay. So now to make it super real. I also like to define goals like a goal from experience is a task. You've done it before. You're just doing it again. You might do more. A goal outside experience is growth.
Okay.
So now we understand what time management is and isn't, and we understand what a goal is or isn't. So I had an executive come to me. He's making $250,000 a year. I could give you a zillion examples. It's just this one just comes to the top of mind. And he says he has no time for his family, and he wants it back. So he's going to quit and become an entrepreneur. And I'm like, I'm just listening. Cool. And I know every entrepreneur says, yeah, you're going to have like way less time when you become an entrepreneur, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I think, just so you know, as a side note, I don't believe that. I think entrepreneurs that don't have time is because they chose not to have time. It's because they borrowed time management systems from corporations and apply them to their personal business, which I think is 100%. Normal. It's normal, right? Yeah. Okay. So he tells me what he's going to do, and he needs to make money in a couple of different ways. But what he's going to do is he's going to start a gym, and it's great, but he can't do one. He has to do two. And to make money. And he's an accountant, so he knows the numbers, man. He knows the numbers well. And he says it's going to take him 5 years to be profitable. And I'm listening to him. I go, well, then what? Let's pretend it's successful. Then what do you do? Well, I want to be able to spend 2 months out of the year with my family in Italy. I'm like, okay. So how old are your kids? And he goes, 13 and 15. I go, so hold on. Let's just, Mr. Accountant, I'm being nicer to him than I am right now. And I'm like, so Mr. Accountant, in 5 years, when your sons are, what is that number? 18 and 20, you're going to finally have time like to go on a trip with them to Italy or something like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is traditional time management. That is working towards the goal. Mm-hmm. When if he would have just worked from the goal, you know what? I'm going to take my family to Italy this summer, no matter what. And yeah, sure, I'm going to quit my job or not.
Yeah.
Whether I do or not has nothing to do with me living my life. Zero. It's just one thing I'm going to do. And by the way, you can still have your gym, but you're just going to operate it differently. You're going to hire someone to run it. But he said he was a micromanager, so he wouldn't do that. I'm like, I mean, that's up to you. You know, if you start thinking differently, now it's on, put the entrepreneurial hat on and start thinking differently. You think, how this is how you do it. Instead of saying this has to happen so this can happen, which is usually wrong. Like, how many times do we take 5 or 10 steps and reach our goal? Rarely happens. So it's better to say, how can I make this thing happen without this bad thing happening by Tuesday? And it doesn't mean you have the answer, but it does create space in your mind so that when you're taking a shower or walking the dog or doing whatever you do, that it can start percolating and you start figuring it out. And all of a sudden you have that so-called aha moment. Okay. So in his example, you go, well, couldn't you start it if it had to be a gym, which it doesn't, but if it had to be a gym, it's not about the gym. It's not about how much money you make at the gym. Because I know millionaires, I personally know billionaires that have no time, 0 time, and their family doesn't like them. I know this as a fact. Money is not the factor, although it's helpful. The factor is how you operate. So he could have this same gym and have it be one of those 24/7 things where there's no human beings in there. It's all robots. You put your card in and you leave. It could be an online thing. It could be a course. It could have been a Netflix thing. You could sell barbells. I don't know. I'm just saying, if the goal is to spend time with your family and have freedom and flexibility, why would you operate in a way that will never get you that?